Good afternoon, Belize. It's midday and you're tuned into the news at noon, where we bring you the latest updates from around the country. I'm Isana Cayetano and here's what's making headlines today. Public Service Union pushes back. No deal on government's pay offer. Auditor General's Office employee cries foul over performance review. Meanwhile, the Auditor General's Office response to protests calls out ethics concerns. And Placencia fights for its heart. Village Council appeals to Deputy Prime Minister over beloved beachfront. These stories are coming up in just 1 minute.
In times of triumph, you seek to be inspired. You demand transparency and accountability. Your desire is to know and to understand, to be heard and seen. I take pride in telling stories that safeguard communities. Your dedication and success live on through these reports. Getting to the truth is my duty. My unwavering commitment is to tell the stories that matter the most to you. I am News 5.
Welcome back. The Public Service Union of Belize is once again standing firm against the Placencia administration. This time, they flat out rejected the government's latest pay proposal, 2 small salary increases spread out over 3 years. Nearly 95% of union members voted no to the offer, and over 91% agreed to officially declare a trade dispute. In a peaceful show of unity, PSU leaders marched to the Ministry of Labor this morning to hand-deliver their declaration. PSU President Dean Flowers addressed the crowd outside the ministry, making it clear that the union isn't backing down. They're demanding an 8.5% salary increase, and they want it in this fiscal year.
I'll start applying force and power and pain on the Placencia administration, who is simply not listening to the workers. The Prime Minister, it must be said, has been in office for 5 years. He stands out as one of the leaders, and I'm pretty quite sure there may not be a whole lot of them. But he stands out as a leader that in 5 years, he has not sit with the PSU. Imagine, the man will lead the public service has never sat with the PSU because he believes that PSU, his private company, and he's treating it like that. And that disrespect. He's now in his second term. He has held 1 meeting in 5 years with the joint unions. And that was a meeting that he attempted to hijack our agenda.
The message from the PSU is loud and clear. They're ready to fight for what they believe is fair pay. The government of Belize, which employs over 15,000 public officers, requires that all employees be evaluated twice a year. These performance reviews help determine who gets raises and promotions. But now, a senior staff member at the Office of the Auditor General is speaking out, claiming the system isn't fair. The employee says he received a shocking score of 0 on his latest appraisal, and he's not staying quiet about it. According to government rules, chief executive officers in each ministry are responsible for making sure these evaluations are done properly. But this latest complaint raises questions about how fair and transparent the process really is.
We were instructed back in 2022, right, not to do any work at all in the Office of the Auditor General. Absolutely nothing, right, in October 2022. I can do nothing perfectly, right? Now, our performance appraisal is based on the task that you do, or the task that you assign to me, or the task that is assigned to us, how well you do that, right? That makes sense. So if you assign me a task to do nothing, and I did nothing perfectly, then my grade should be maximum, right? Which is 10. Both of us, myself and my colleague, and another colleague of ours, we got 0s. But the thing is that the appraisal scale goes from 1 to 10. So how can I get a 0 if the grade starts from 1? And what motivates that individual, who happens to be the Auditor General right now, to give us that grade? Because she was the supervisor who gave us that grade.
The Office of the Auditor General has fired back following Monday's protest led by Gerald Henry outside the Ministry of Public Service. In a press release, the office claimed that both Henry and retired employee Dorothy Obermeyer were considered, quote, audit risks because they refused to sign and follow the professional code of ethics required for auditors. As a result, previous management decided not to assign them any audit work. The release also stated that the two were not given performance appraisals due to what is called non-productivity. While the Ministry of Public Service reportedly advised them to meet with current management to resolve the issue, the office says no such meeting has taken place. Interestingly, the release notes that Henry has now been placed on an audit team, a move the office hopes will help improve the performance review. The following story takes us to Placencia, where a beloved community landmark is at the center of a growing land dispute, and the village is calling for urgent help. The Placencia Village Council has sounded the alarm, issuing a heartfelt appeal to Deputy Prime Minister Cordell Hyde. At stake, Placencia Point, a treasured beachfront that has been the soul of the community for over half a century. In a letter dated June 9th, the council expressed deep frustration over delays in acquiring the land, which has long hosted iconic events like Lobster Fest and the Art Festival. But now, that legacy is under threat. A private company, Jonesboro Limited, has claimed ownership of the area following the purchase of parcel 2010 in Placencia North. With much of the coastline battling erosion and sargassum, Placencia Point remains the last accessible and unaffected stretch of beach, making its preservation not just important, but essential. Council Chairperson Warren Garbott and his team are urging swift government action, calling the land a cornerstone of our collective identity. As the community rallies to protect its heritage, all eyes are now on Belmopan. Will the government step in to safeguard this vital piece of Placencia's past and future? We'll be following the story closely. That's a wrap for the news at noon. But don't worry, there's plenty more coming your way at 6 p.m. We'll dive deeper into these stories and more. In the meantime, visit greaterbelize.com and follow us on Facebook for real-time updates. And don't miss Open Your Eyes tomorrow morning for fresh takes on today's headlines. Thanks for tuning in, Belize. Stay informed, stay inspired, and have a fantastic afternoon.
Veracidad, imparcialidad.
Hemos estado haciendo el trabajo como organización.
Y tus noticias en español.
Están en aguas beliceñas, entonces esta bandera se queda aquí.
Sintoniza Canal 5 cada viernes a las 7 de la noche.
Tenemos que resolver dos grandes problemas de este país.
Su voz importa, su acción cuenta.
Transfusión sanguínea, elementos que indican un deterioro evidente del estado de salud.
Somos Noticiero 5 Semanal.
Perdió la vida en un heroico intento de proteger a su hermano. El Tribunal de Magistrados de la ciudad de Belice se paralizó. La policía está investigando 2 asesinatos separados.
Tu fuente de información.